What's up, guys? Animanga returns with the next episode review. This is the episode 17 review of Duel Monsters, also known as Arena of Lost Souls Part 1. This duel, this episode and episode 18, the next one, and this duel in general is in my top 5 favorite duels of Duelist Kingdom, and that's saying a lot. Like in the tournament, this is in my top 5 favorites. I think it's like my 5th favorite for several reasons, but I'll get into that in a second. So the 5 points of this episode, let's get into it. The first one. This is, even though we saw Bandit Keith last episode in a flashback, this is his real intro into the show, and I love his character. Don't like that the Japanese see Americans that way, but I can't complain because later we get Raphael and Rebecca, and Pegasus is also American, so we got some good Americans, but Bandit Keith definitely is a disgrace to us Americans. But other than that, I love his character. He's so slimy and schemy. The way he can manipulate people into doing things he wants, and he has the skills to back it up, kind of. Plus, he runs a machine deck, but we'll get into that later. That's not this episode. So anyway, his intro, and that was always fun to me. And also, at the beginning of the show, I wanted to mention that this is the real second day of the tournament. This is the beginning of the second day. So this duel must have happened in the morning, what's coming up. And Joey gets kidnapped at the waterfall, and he gets taken to the graveyard arena, the very unique arena that I'm sure no other duelists dueled in during this tournament. This was the only duel in this place. Or what happened was they found this place long ago, and Bandit Keith knew where to go, and they trapped other duelists before Joey and took their star chips before Joey right at that graveyard arena. So there's one of the two things happen. So many of the duelists were already kicked off the island at this point. It was stated anyway at the beginning of this episode. So there weren't many left. There's probably, I don't know, there's probably like 20 left, half of them. So anyway, that's the first point. The second point, Joey still struggling with his inferiority complex, especially to Kaiba in his dream in the beginning, because the episode starts off in Joey's mind and his dream. And Kaiba's like, sit at your master's feet where you belong. And Joey's like, and he's wearing the dog suit. This is the birth of the dog suit. This is how it came to be. We go from just watch this episode and then go all the way to Dark Side of Dimensions when Duke's making him wear it when he's working for the clown guy in the movie. That was hilarious. So go from there to there and you'll see the evolution of the dog suit. So that's the second point. The third point, I had this duel on VHS and DVD when I was a kid. And I remember watching it many times before going to bed. And it never scared me. It just was very iconic duel. This episode set it up great, and the next episode finished it off beautifully. So yeah, it will always be in my mind forever because of those reasons. I have a lot of nostalgia for this duel. So that's the third point. The fourth point, I've always liked, even though we don't see it much, really only 2 episodes, I've always liked the setup for Bandit Keith and his relationship with his goons. Like, he abuses them, mistreats them, and they still call him boss and stuff and help him out. And honestly, the funny thing is it looks like Zygor, or they could gang up on him, or Zygor could, physically attack Bandit Keith, but Bandit Keith is tough. Bandit Keith's really tough physically and mentally. So that allows him he's like a double threat. He's a triple threat actually, because he's really cunning, really mischievous. And I love his voice, his dweeb. I love his voice. It's very iconic. Ted Lewis did a great job with his voice. I can't even hear Bakura in his voice when he does Bandit Keith. So yeah, I love that. I love his relationship with his goons, how they have to do everything he says. You know, he's the pro, he's the expert. They're the noobs, they're the novices. And he specifically builds a whole zombie deck just for Bones. And yeah, I love Bandit Keith. He's so much fun. He's like that bully you love. Plus, like I said, he uses machines, and I have a soft spot for machines. He's like, I love the part when him and Bones are going to the graveyard field before the duel with Joey, and he's like, "You ought to feel right at home down here, Bones. It's creepy, dark, and dank, just like you." And Bones is like, "I promise I won't let you down. You better not." Wham! And then he kicks him into the skull, and Bones has the most ridiculous, over the top freak out I've ever seen. Yeah, Bones was the perfect looking duelist to use a zombie deck. Like, his face isn't human. Something's wrong with his face. Did he get like toxic inhalation or something when he was a child? I don't know. So that's the fourth point. The fifth point, obviously the whole duel starting off, the duel's only like half the episode, but the build up was so good. That's why it was a great episode. And the build up to the combo that Bandit Keith has planned is really clever, because I love the way Bandit Keith sits behind Bones and can see his hand and is just in the background like, "Play that card, Bones. Don't use defense mode or the dweeb will be afraid to attack." And stuff like that. And Joey gets really overconfident, gets a huge lead because Bones isn't playing zombies. And then it's revealed when Bones draws his next card that it was revealed that Bandit Keith was waiting for him to draw Call of the Haunted, which was an OP, apparently magic card in Duelist Kingdom. It was a magic card. Even though it showed it was a trap in the show, it was actually a magic card. It was very overpowered. Zombies are extremely powerful in Duelist Kingdom. Probably the fourth strongest thing up to that point in the show, maybe behind Exodia, the Toons, and Blue Eyes. So anyway, and by the way, the zombies, if they got destroyed enough and had enough life points, could beat Blue Eyes. I can't remember. I don't think Dragon Zombie got that high to 3,000 though in the next episode. But anyway, the famous Call the Haunted play, I loved it. It was great. My favorite part of the episode is definitely when Joey's Axe Raider goes to destroy the Dragon Zombie. And this is when you realize how unbeatable the zombies are. He attacks the Dragon Zombie and it reforms. And Joey's shocked, and Bandit Keith just laughs and says, like, "They're zombies now, dweeb. You can't destroy them with an axe." What? Oh no! And then Bones is like, "Hoo ha ha! Oh yes!" And he destroys the Axe Raider, and then the episode ends on a cliffhanger. Joey's like, "I'm dead meat." Great ending to the episode. It really looked like this was really a big duel for Joey. This is the first true duel where he didn't have anyone helping him, especially in the first half of the duel. No one was there to help him. And he proved it. He won himself. He did it. And hats off to Joey, but that'll be next episode. This episode was the setup. So the rating for this episode, since I'm done with the 5 points, 10 out of 10. This may come as a surprise. I'm not going to hand out many 10 out of 10s. Let me just say it's the 10 out of 10. It is. Whoops. Sorry about that. Working here. The 10 out of 10 is because the setup is great. The villains are great. It's a great start to a duel. Some overpowered cards have been played. The hero separated from his friends. And yeah, all that together, to me, makes it a 10 out of 10. The nostalgia, too. And the episode MVP, Bandit Keith, easily. Although I did love the part where Joey's like, "I ain't afraid of your ooga booga rap." Yeah, Joey was great second, but Bandit Keith stole the show on this episode. And so 10 out of 10, episode MVP, Bandit Keith. Hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you enjoy also the rest of the video. All right, bye guys.